welcome back. Today I'm doing something a little different here on my channel. I have taken you into my kitchen, which I've done multiple times, but I am going to do something, for one, not keto. So that's just throwing that out there right now. This is not keto. This is a cake for my almost 4-year-old niece. So she specially requested by me that I make her birthday cake for her 4th birthday party. She specifically wants an Elsa cake, and I'm gonna do my best to make a cake for her. I have a little bit of cake decorating experience, a little bit. When I was in high school, I took some cake decorating classes at Michael's craft store, and from that I have made some cakes and some cupcakes throughout the years, and so I have a little bit of knowledge. That's about the extent of it. Last year I made her a birthday cake that was just a Barbie. I'm using some of the same techniques that I used last year. It turned out pretty good last year, but I think it's gonna be even better this year. So I'm gonna take you through the process of making this cake. As of right now, I have not made it. So here are all my ingredients. I don't know how it's gonna turn out. So this is going to be an adventure for both of us because this might be a hot mess. The good news is that 4-year-olds don't really care. I bet if I stick an Elsa in any cake, she's gonna like it. But I want it to turn out as good as I'm imagining it. So fingers crossed that this cake turns out like I want it to. Her birthday party is in exactly 25 hours from now. So fingers crossed I don't completely screw this up in my mind. So not only am I making her an Elsa cake, I'm also going to be making some mini cupcakes. She has like 20 kids coming to her birthday party, plus all of their parents. So there's a lot of people and the cake itself is not gonna cut it. So I'm making the cake and matching cupcakes. I'll probably make about 24 cupcakes plus the cake. She requested chocolate cake as the Elsa, strawberry cake as the cupcakes. I'm going to try and make them look similar and kind of have all the same vibe. I really just, I'm hoping that this turns out, because in my mind, it looks like a masterpiece. This is like something people would pay hundreds of dollars for, but I'm making it out of the kindness of my heart for my niece. But really, it might be a mess. When this is all said and done, we will do a breakdown of how much this whole cake project costs. So as of right now, since I haven't made it, I think I have everything, but I might have to go to the store and get other stuff. I'm not quite sure yet. I think I have everything right here behind me, but you never know when something's going to get messed up when you're baking. So I might have to rewind and go get more stuff. Some of these tools and ingredients I already had on hand. For example, the cake pan I have from her birthday last year when I made her the Barbie cake. But I will leave links down below for all of the specialty products like the cake pan and the piping tips that I'm going to be using, and some of the other ingredients, like specialty things that will be on this cake. So maybe you can make it probably better than I can make it. We'll see. This is going to be an adventure, and I have my fingers crossed it's going to work out. Let's get started on this Elsa cake and matching cupcakes. So here we have, I think, everything we need for this project. Well, mostly everything, I guess. So first off, I'm just using box cake because I'm not about to make cake from scratch. So we have chocolate cake and strawberry cake. I got these I got most of this at Walmart. So this is the Walmart brand cake that's much cheaper than this one, but they didn't have strawberry for some reason. So cake mix, I got the oil, eggs. I guess we're gonna need water too, but I'm not gonna I'm not going to count the cost of the water. For the frosting, I'm going to make just buttercream frosting. So powdered sugar, butter, I'll put a little vanilla in there. This is the cake pan that I'll be using. This cake pan I will link below. It is specifically made for these doll cakes. It has a stand on the bottom. This goes in the middle, so it has a little opening in the middle. And then really it would be, ta-da, the cake will be like that. And that will be the bottom of the dress, and the doll will go in the top. Also, I have the doll. I got this at Walmart. This was just a cheap Walmart Elsa doll. I'll show you how I'm gonna put her in the cake. And then we also have some cupcake liners for mini cupcakes. I saw these and I was like, whoa, if those are ever some Elsa colored chocolatey pearls. So I got those at Walmart, as well as this white pearl shimmer spray. I'm also going to be using some food coloring that I had on hand, and some piping bags and piping tips that I also have on hand. So there we have it. I'm going to start by making the chocolate and strawberry cakes, cake pan and cupcakes. Let's go. So now that the cake mix is made, just followed the recipes on the back of the box, I am going to make some cupcakes. I have this little cookie scoop that I've just had for years and years, and that is what I'm going to use to scoop into the cupcake liners. So I will just get to scooping. I realized that this is actually for 24 large cupcakes, so I'm probably going to be making 48 mini cupcakes. So I have another cupcake pan that I'm going to put in the oven with my other cupcakes here, and we'll just keep on cupcaking. It's time for the chocolate cake, which is made in the exact same way as the strawberry cake. Next, I'm going to whip up a really simple batch of vanilla buttercream. So it's just a cup of butter, about 3 cups of powdered sugar, about a teaspoon of vanilla, and really just a splash of heavy cream, maybe a couple tablespoons of heavy cream, just kind of depending on the consistency of it. So I'm going to put the butter in, whip it up, mix in the powdered sugar, and then add the liquid ingredients. This is softened butter, which is very important for buttercream to be able to whip up the butter and when it's soft. So make sure you have a softened butter. the cupcakes are cooled and the first batch of buttercream is made, I am going to get the frosting on all of these. So what I'm going for here is a purple and blue and white, obviously, swirl on top of each cupcake, and then I am planning on putting these chocolatey pearls, one of them, on each cupcake. So they'll be purple and blue, and then, I mean, there'll be pink in there, but you probably won't be able to see the pink. So what I'm going to do is, before I put my frosting in my piping bag, which I have here, these will be linked down below as well. I have a piping tip that I'm going to put in there. This is 2D, which will also be linked down below. And some icing colors. These are Wilton brand. This is royal blue and violet. So I'm going to take a knife, a clean knife. You could also use a toothpick, but I just don't have a toothpick, so I'm going to use a knife. And on the inside of the bag, I'm just going to put one stripe of blue, and then on the other side, I'm going to put one stripe of purple. Then I will put the frosting in it and just pipe it on in a swirl. So here I have my piping bag. There's blue on this side, purple on this side, just to stripe up the side. It was actually a pretty small stripe, and then I put the frosting in it and it got much bigger. The bag is a little too full here at the top. Once I start squirting some of it out, I'll be able to twist the end a little bit more so I can actually pipe this without it coming out of the top. But I'm going to just get it started on a paper towel so you can kind of see the idea of what it will look like. And as I go, it will just keep getting more and more swirled in there. One batch of frosting made just enough for all of these cupcakes. The last one doesn't really look that great, but I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. So whoopsie daisy. Now I'm just going to put one of these chocolatey pearls on the top of each. There's just all different colors. There's blue and gray and white. And I'll just get one on the top of each. Itself, it is baked and cooling. It's still kind of warm on the inside. I'm going to get it out of the pan here so it can cool the rest of the way before I start decorating it. So I'll just take the middle part out. Yeah, it's still pretty warm. I am going to actually put it on this cake board here. I just happen to have this from years of my cake decorating, like years and years ago. I did some more cake decorating, and I just happened to have this cake board. You definitely do not need a cake board. You could use a plate, you could use a piece of cardboard, you could really use anything, but I had this round cake board. I just put foil on it and taped the back, and that's what I'll use for the cake. So I'm going to take this out of the pan, put it on here so it can cool, and I can start decorating. Once again, me, not a cake decorator, not a baker, not anything. I'm a wannabe. So, as I am starting to look at this cake and make some plans for assembling it, I realized that my Elsa, here's my Elsa. I took her shoes off because I think I'm not going to have her shoes in the cake. My Elsa is taller than my cake. Too tall. So take a look at this. Here's the cake. Here's Elsa. Unless I want Elsa to have a you know, mermaid dress where it just starts right here and then comes out. I think I need more cake. So I am going to make a couple more layers of cake and then stack them under this. So I'll be using a smaller cake pan, and then it'll be a couple more layers to give it some height. So then Elsa can have a dress that goes all the way up to her hips right there. That's where I want the cake to go to. So gonna keep on problem solving. Grr. The two cakes are now done. I think that they might be a little bit smaller than the bottom of the cake, so I might have to just kind of cut some of the side of the cake off to make it all one size. But once they're cool, I will get the tops cut off and start stacking. So here's our status so far. I took the bottom, well, actually this is gonna be the top part of the cake, and I cut it in half. I put some frosting, just made another batch of frosting, just like I did earlier, in the middle, and then put the top back on. I cut the tops off of the two new layers of cake, tried to make them as even as possible. They're a little off, but you know, it's all good. I'm still letting those cool. They're a little warm. When those get cool, I will put them under this with some frosting in between. So then it'll actually be 4 layers, right? 1, 2, yeah, 4 layers with frosting in between. Now I am going to get Elsa ready. So her whole body is gonna go in the cake. I don't want to destroy her because she's kind of like the prize after you finish the cake. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna wrap her up in plastic wrap. So I'm gonna do it in 2 parts. First up, I'm gonna have her arms up, and come on, Elsa, come on. There we go. I'm gonna wrap her bottom half in one thing of plastic wrap, and I'm gonna keep her little cape out. And then I'm gonna wrap the top and her cape up. So the bottom part will stay wrapped while she's in the cake. And then the top part I will unwrap after I get the whole cake decorated. That way she won't get frosting all over her while I'm decorating the cake. And then her cape will kind of hang over the back. She might get a little frosting on her cape, but I might wait to unwrap the cape part until the frosting has hardened a little bit so it won't get all stuck and nasty in there. The cakes are cooled and ready. I took this part of the cake off of the cake board and just put on a little piece of parchment paper. One thing to remember when you're making a cake and you're using a cake board is to get a little bit of frosting, a little bit of frosting, and put it on your cake board before you put your first bottom layer on. That way, this guy right here won't slide around. Just kind of put him on there, and then it's like he's glued on. Ooh, yeah, won't slide. So now I'm gonna put some frosting on this one, put the other layer on there, put more frosting on that, and then put the top back on and get her going. As expected, Elsa's looking a bit like a mushroom. So I'm just gonna take my knife and I'm gonna carve the cake in a little bit so it doesn't have this lip down here and it's all one size. Here's what's happening. This cake looks a little inappropriate for a 4-year-old's birthday. I really hate how it looks. I realized, I was like, I've made this cake before. Why is it so much harder now? Like, what am I doing wrong? And I realized last time I made this cake, I used 2 boxes in that cake pan. That's why it's not big enough. I should have done 2 boxes to begin with, not just 1. I really hate how this looks. I'm redoing it. So, you know, a box of cake is like 88 cents. I think that's how much the box was that I got. So yeah, I'm doing it again because even though she really won't care because she's 4, I care. And this is ugly. This. What a day it has been. As you can see behind me, it's now dark. It's now 9 o'clock at night, and I'm still working on this project. I think I started around like maybe 1 today. The cupcakes were like super fast. This whole thing should have been a cupcake project, but no, a cake. What a disaster, which I think I kind of predicted this in the beginning, that it was gonna be a disaster. It's like I know myself. Anyways, it's almost time to get this stupid cake made. Ugh. Okay, so one thing that I didn't do before that I'm going to do now is behind me I have parchment paper on the cake board. That way, as I'm icing the cake, it catches all of the crumbs and that kind of stuff, and it'll keep the cake board looking a little bit nicer. I was going to do that earlier, then I got distracted with like the awkwardly shaped cake. So I'm going to get the cake cut into tiers and put the frosting in the middle, get it all put together, and then it'll almost be time to decorate. Almost. Here we have our cooled crumb-coated cake. Cooled crumb-coated cake. So it's pretty cool. I mean, I probably could have kept it in there for longer, but it is late and I'm ready to be done with this, so it's good enough. So I'm hoping that the hole is not too big for Elsa. So here we go. Oh, it's gonna be perfect. Just, come on, Elsa. Get in your home. Well, you know, it's still, it's still a bit of a, you know, it's a mermaid dress, but it's gonna have to work. So I think tomorrow, after I have it all cooled and everything, I'll just cut all the rest of the plastic wrap off. But that's gotta work for Elsa because I'm not making another cake. So, good enough. I now have some blue frosting. I colored it blue. And I have the 2D piping tip that I was using earlier, and I'm just gonna pipe rosettes on it. So basically, the idea of the rosette is that you squeeze a little bit, lift, come around, and then close it. So that's the rosette that I will do. I'll start at the bottom and I'll just work my way up. Actually can't believe this. It looks okay. Huh. It's almost exactly what I was going for. At the very end, there were some white spaces in between. So I just went in and put little stars, and they almost look like snowflakes, Elsa's snowflakes. I put some little star snowflakes up at the top to close the gap, And now I'm going to put little sprinkles, probably some of the same sprinkles that are on the cupcakes. I have little snowflake sprinkles that I found in my pantry, some blue sprinkles that are like little beads, and silver, and then I'm gonna spray it with the edible spray. Elsa found herself a little sleeping place in the garage fridge for the night. There she is. I'm gonna keep her wrapped until tomorrow. She's looking fly. Hey, girl. Yeah. All right, here we are. It is officially the day of the birthday party. 5 hours until the birthday party. I started this 20 hours ago. I mean, that includes sleeping, but still. I'm pretty happy with the result. I've recovered from the trauma that was the original cake, and I'm very happy with the result of Elsa and the cupcakes. Now I'm going to take the plastic wrap off of her and get her all finished up so I can pack up the cupcakes and the cake and get them to the party. So because I put the plastic wrap up a little bit higher on her waist, I was hoping that the cake would go up about to here on her waist, so that's where I put the plastic wrap. I had to cut it back a little bit. If you look really closely, you can still see the plastic wrap. I tried to get it as close to the frosting that I could, but I started actually cutting off the tips of the frosting. So, you know, you can't really tell. It kind of looks like the shimmer spray anyways, but here she is. I have her little cape here in the back. Because the icing is hard, it's not gonna ruin her cape. And when all is said and done, there will be a perfectly clean Elsa doll to play with. So there we have it. Elsa is done. Here she is looking beautiful in her blue shimmery dress with all her little cupcake minions down below. Even though we had some stress, we had some problem solving, got a little frustrated there, had to stay up much later than I anticipated. I'm very happy with the result. I FaceTimed my niece and showed her the cake, and she was ecstatic. She was already wearing her Elsa dress for her birthday party, and she was so excited and wanted to eat it already. Ready to cut into Elsa yet, but she will be destroyed in just a matter of hours. So the overall cost for this cake was actually pretty reasonable when you compare it to having to buy a cake at a store or even a specialty cake shop. Oh, cakes are expensive. Overall, with all of the expenses of having to remake the cake, this Elsa cake cost me $36.96. All of the expenses listed here include having to remake cake, remake frosting, So that was extra butter and powdered sugar and cake mix and eggs and oil, all of that stuff. If I wouldn't have made that mistake, it would have been closer to about $30. That mistake cost me around $7. If you want to make this Elsa cake and you don't have any of the supplies like the pan or the cupcake pan, this cake would cost you around $60.14, give or take how much some of this stuff would cost at your local store. So $60 for this cake and cupcakes is pretty reasonable still. Then you have the cake pan and cupcake pans that you can use in the future and keep making all different dolls. Who knows, maybe next year Elsa will not be popular anymore. Although I feel like Elsa's been popular for a really long time. But still, you can make all different kinds of doll cakes. If they're wearing a dress, you can stick her in a cake. In the overall cost, I did not account for some of the extra sprinkles and stuff that I had on hand. That stuff is really not super necessary. Of course, you can get some of those specialty sprinkles and things. I just happened to have them on hand, so I put them in there. I really only used a couple of them, so in the grand scheme of things, didn't really impact the overall cost. But if you wanted to find some good deals on little sprinkles, specialty sprinkles and shapes and stuff, I found a lot of this stuff actually at Ross and Marshall's. I think the little snowflakes had a Ross sticker on it for like $1.99. So if you plan ahead, you can keep an eye out for good deals on things like that and make this cake making experience even cheaper. Thank you for joining me on this exciting adventure of Elsa and her cupcake minions. If you have liked this video, please consider checking out all of my other videos on my channel where I talk about other budget-friendly recipes, cooking, tips, tricks, all that kind of stuff. If you're into that, consider subscribing down below, turning on your notifications for my videos so you don't miss a thing. Follow me on Instagram, Baby Stepping to Freedom. I post a lot more on my Instagram of just everyday antics, really. Thanks for following along, guys. Jeez, what an adventure it's been. I will see you very soon with my next video. Bye.